guys, it's Tony, and welcome to Mario Month. For the entire month, or for the span of 3 weeks, with 3 freaking episodes, I will be going over the history and my critiques of the Mario series. We're not going to be covering all of the games, we're going to be covering the main series of games, as well as a few non-essentials here and there. But with all that said, let's get into the origin of Mario. The year is 1979, and Nintendo decides to get into the home video game market, especially in America. They started out with, on the wrong foot, Radar Scope. Radar Scope, unfortunately, was a failure, and the crew realized they didn't have enough workers to make a whole new game, so they had to hire an illustrator. The illustrator's name was Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto decided that, he hated tennis games, he hated shooting games, and he hated space games regardless. So he was going to make a game with a story. Yes, this became the first game with a story. That game would become Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong would introduce us to the character we would all know and love as the pesky little plumber, Mario. Mario would eventually get his own game in 1983, where he would star alongside his brother, Luigi. And with the success of that game, Miyamoto began working on another game for their then new up-and-coming console, the Famicom, which would be over here, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Thus, that brings us to Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Is considered a classic by many, and for good reason, too. I mean, essentially, this saved the video game industry in 1985. It also saved Nintendo's butt in 1985, too, because they were losing revenue trying to advertise to the American audience. With all of that said, what are my feelings about the game? It's a good game. I really enjoy it. I love playing it. Is it one of my favorite NES games of all time? No. I'd at least put it in the top 5, but it's not really. It's a good game, regardless. It doesn't have many issues. I know where half the secrets are, thanks to many other people who play the game online. So, to kind of end off that review, yeah, it's fine. Moving onwards. With the success of Super Mario Bros. Selling 40 million cartridges worldwide, being a record for the time, Nintendo decided that they needed to capitalize quickly and make a sequel. Thus, in 1986, they began work on Super Mario Bros. 2. It was released a few months later, and to some fans out there, it was considered harder than the original. And I'm not talking about the US version yet, by the way, this is only the Japanese version. The game was so hard that by the time they sent the game over to the US, the person who was in charge of picking and choosing games, Howard Phillips, he said it was too hard and they needed a new sequel, something that was a lot more appealing for the American audience. What this resulted in was them taking a game that they had worked on in 1987, called Doki Doki Panic, which they had done for Fuji Television, as part of their Summer Dreams event, which happened all summer that year, and they conversed that into Super Mario Bros. 2 that we all know and love. Super Mario Bros. 2 has an interesting story. Mario had a dream. The dream involved him going through a dream world. The next morning he has a picnic with his friends and he discovers the dream world. Deciding that they needed help, he and his friends go through the dream door to the dream world, where they end up having to face off the evil Toad Wart. So, what do I think about Super Mario Bros. 2? If you've watched the Ransom Reviews episode of Mario Rama, then you know, wholeheartedly, this is my favorite Mario game. But, here's something you did not hear yet. Or if you did, well, I'm going to tell you again. This is my favorite game of all time. Yes. I love the designs, I love the music, I love the gameplay, I love everything about it. As for everyone else, they had mixed reception. Eventually, a couple years after the game was released, they discovered that this wasn't the real Mario 2, according to them. So, with that being discovered, they realized that, well, fuck, it wasn't going to count as a real Mario game. And it has now been almost 30 years later, and come on guys, let's get over it. It's Mario 2. Following the success of Mario 2, Nintendo immediately began working on Mario 3. And Mario 3 had a kind of interesting publicity stunt. In 1989, Universal released the movie The Wizard, starring Fred Savage. The movie was a mediocre hit, becoming a cult classic. But throughout the movie, they were talking about this video game tournament. And at the end, when they get to the video game tournament and they get to the final round, what shall be announced upon them? Super Mario Bros. 3. My feelings on Super Mario Bros. 3 are kind of mixed. I enjoy the game, but I do feel it's a little overrated. Now hear me out. Hear me out on this one. It's overrated because I don't think it deserved as much respect as Mario 2 did. Mario 2 was made on a very short deadline. You gotta realize that. Mario 3 began production in 1988. And it was released in 1990. So yeah, that had a 2-year span. This Mario 2 had 1 year. 1 year to get done and ready. And I guess you could say the same thing about the original Mario 2. So yeah, with the tighter schedule, yeah, they've turned out somewhat of the better product. This, it's not bad, it's not one of my favorites. I'd put it in the top 10 at least. Following the success of Mario 3, that wrapped up the original NES Mario trilogy, because the NES sadly ceased production in 1994. In 1991, though, Nintendo released the Super Nintendo, and with that came the launch game of Super Mario World. And I know what you're saying, Tony, why are you not showing me the cartridge? Well, I don't have the cartridge. I got the Virtual Console copy of it. And I'm not going to play the Virtual Console copy of it behind my back, because I don't want to get in trouble by Nintendo. So you're not going to see it. Ha. What can I say about the game, though? I enjoy it. I think it's a really good game. I think it's not one of my favorites on the SNES. It is, though, one of the best. Introduced us to Yoshi, and I know my friend Nathan would really enjoy that. It kind of revolutionized what Mario 3 had done before. New power-ups, different world maps. That's all fine and good. So let's kind of get through all that. Mario World was a success. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, which was kind of a prequel to the original Mario games. That was a success too. And my feelings on that game is, it's okay. It's not one of my favorites, it's just okay. Now, let's jump ahead another console generation to 1996 when Nintendo released the N64 with the launch title Super Mario 64. This game basically was my childhood. I remember playing this game all the time. I played it after school, I played it during the weekends, I played it during break. It was a fun game. Between this and Ocarina of Time, those were the two games I played a lot when I was a kid. In fact, I would say it was this game in general that got me introduced to Nintendo and got me hooked. So, what are my thoughts on it? Has it aged well? Well, kind of. To be honest, it does feel the essence of 90s video games, but then again, that was the time, and that was kind of what they only had. The style, the way I put it is, it's a time capsule of 96. Kind of how Final Fantasy VII is a time capsule of 1997, this is a time capsule of 1996. The CGI, with the character designs and stuff, it's not bad. It's actually really good. And that's kind of interesting because the N64 became like the second best-selling console that generation, beneath the PlayStation. But the goal for the N64 was to have better pixel quality and not faster speed. Well, actually, no. It was the other way around, I'm sorry. My mind's kind of warped a little there. Faster speed, but not as great pixel quality. So some people did criticize it. Now, thus ends part 1 of Mario Month. And yes, for all the stuttering and all the mistakes I've made, I am truly sorry. You gotta remember, stress. Join us next week when we'll be talking about Mario in the 2000s and the 2010s. So basically, we're gonna be covering what was essentially the peaks and valleys of Mario. This is Tony saying, I will see you next time. Let's go.